Well, we are off and running on this Saturday afternoon here at Gulfstream Park. Good to have you with us, everybody, as Ron Nicoletti and Jason Blewett catch up with you live from our Paddock Set Studios on a day, Ronnie, I think I speak for everybody, a long time coming.
Long time coming, and if you're not aware, everybody in the world is, of course, we basically dodged the bullet here of Hurricane Irma and locally, but lots of people are still searching to get back to normal, and our hearts go out to them. But we got some racing here this afternoon.
Indeed we do, and it'll be nice to get some normalcy going. Obviously, the Florida Keys, both on the east and west coast, were hit especially hard, and we're certainly thinking and praying for our fellow Floridians here. And I know the Floridians welcome me and my fiance, who just moved out here in May, with open arms, so we really feel a part of the community. And that being said, it is nice to try to turn the page and get back to the racing action. Now, as far as Hurricane Irma, I mean, very destructive, and this was a storm, at least locally, to end all storms. And we've got some video to show you of just the kind of destruction, and you can see those palm trees out by the tiki hut located, I'd say, parallel to the 8th and 16th pole. Look at that. I mean, that's shot from the second floor.
Yeah, that's the second floor, and you can see the wind going, and always amazed that those palm trees, how they're so resilient, and that's why we have so many in South Florida. Hard to knock them down. And there you see some other stuff around, and they had to fix everything up, and if you see it today, you would never know the storm.
No, I would say, and I have to say, and I know you agree, that Bill Badgett and his troops did just an unbelievable job as far as the prep work prior to Hurricane Irma hitting, and then obviously getting this place back up and running. It looks beautiful. There is not a palm frond out of place, at least those that survived, and we're certainly happy to announce that we are fast and firm on this 13-race Saturday program. In fact, we've gone basically, Ronnie, 2 full weeks since we last competed at Gulfstream Park. You've got to go back to Monday, Labor Day, which seems, given what has transpired, a very long time ago.
Very long time, and if you follow me on Twitter, I took a walk around the turf course on Thursday, and it looks fantastic, so it had time to get nice and green and ready to go, fast and firm, as you mentioned.
Yeah, they had things sealed very tight on the main track. Now, prior to the hurricane hitting, they actually fertilized, cut, and vacuumed the turf course, and talking to Bill Badgett, who knows this place like the back of his hand, he said he has never seen the turf course in the kind of shape, the pristine shape that it is in, so that's good news there, because the green today at Gulfstream Park is the battleground for a good chunk of this 13-race card. And we'll get you up to speed, kind of go through the formalities here and just running down the carryover list. In fact, we've only got one for you, considering the Rainbow Six, and remembering back to Labor Day that somebody took down the Rainbow Six for well over $100,000. But as far as that dollar rolling super high five, it kicks off in the first race today at just under $2,000, and we'll have our first of two pick fives kicking off a little after 12:15.
Yeah, I'll have that ticket for you in just a couple of moments. And then we have, of course, when we have the 13-race card, we got that middle pick four, and it's a 50-cent wager, very, very popular. And the Rainbow Six, as you mentioned, hit.
In a way, this almost feels like an opening day. As my fiance said this morning, have a great opening day, the September edition at Gulfstream Park. So with the fact that we haven't run in 12 days, I think it is fitting that there's no money up for grabs as far as the carryover goes in that Rainbow Six. And we'll cap things with race number 9, the starting point and the launching pad of that late pick 5. So without further ado, we will try to dust off the cobwebs here. And we're very thankful to be back in the swing of things at GP as we kick off the card. And you've got a number of big fields today, Ronnie. I mean, obviously, big is sort of an understatement considering we have 13 races. But by my count, after scratches, I think we have 123 entries spread throughout the afternoon. And the first race, which jumpstarts your early pick 5, is no exception.
Yeah, no exception. A big field in here. But I thought the logical two horses in here were the 8 and the 10. The 10, the little baby Bella, when you see going to wear blinkers this afternoon. And you see in race number 4 was a select field, and I just think the race sets up perfectly for the 5 Some Roar, an open length winner at this level back in July, so I thought that was the logical one. And the 5th race, one of those races you were alluding to that are just so wide open, so I went 4 deep in that final leg, and that is $24 for my early pick 5 ticket.
And the favorite will likely be in this first race when it's all said and done, the number 10, Little Baby Bella, who, by the way, breaks from that outside post and gets the blinkers on. There was an equipment change announced with the changes. And, of course, Pete Aiello, after we sign off with Gulfstream today, will bring you the scratches and changes. 5/8 is the question with her in my mind, but the talent as opposed or at least compared to what she's facing is not. I'm going into this one like you, saying she's just the best horse in here, even though I do worry a bit about the 5/8.
Well, you have to worry about that post going 5/8 a mile, but she was a solid third against Better going a mile back on the turf in June, cutting back to, as we mentioned today, 5 furlongs, return from the layoff. Finished that distant fourth, but it was against Better, 25 maidens going 7 furlongs, and that was on that sealed, sloppy track. And I think the blinker is going to help this horse. Of course, you got to get that trip, carve out that trip from that outside post. The reasoning I went too deep in here was sort of vaguely thinking, maybe thinking a single in 10, but I did go with the number 8, Hostile But Awesome, who's going to wear blinkers today. Showed some late interest in a quartet of races at this level and distance. The gelding, ridden by Edgar Zayas, should be closer to the pace today if those shades do the trick.
And we'll look forward to Edgar getting back along with this colony here at Gulfstream Park. I'm sure Saturday as well, a long time coming for a number of the riders here at Gulfstream Park, including Edgar, who's second in the standings behind Tyler Gaffalione, who, if you're wondering where Tyler is, he's riding at least today up at our sister track in Maryland, Laurel Park. That's where Acacia Courtney is. They got themselves a real nice card up at Laurel.
Really nice day up there, a bunch of stakes races, and we'll be updating you throughout the afternoon. We see one of our horses from South Florida happen to win. We'll be tooting our horn.
Well, that's Awesome Banner, right?
Awesome Banner.
We love Awesome Banner. All right, let's get on to race number 2, my friend. Second is our opening race on the main track today. It's a 6.5 furlong, 2 lifetime, 62.50 claimer, in which, for me, and you and I agree on what might be a chalky double to come off the layoff today at Gulfstream Park with 12 days of no racing. Ronnie and I are looking for the chalk dust to fly through the air, taking Carlo's horse in the first and then capping that double with the drop down, the 6, D Shiflet in the second. For me, I want the drop downs in this one. I'm using the 1 Diamond Mint and, of course, D Shiflet.
Yeah, D Shiflet dropping, as you mentioned, to the 6,250 level, cutting back to 6.5. I just on the drop. You know, I don't love this horse. I'm not going to jump up, but I think he gets the tepid nod on that drop. And I used the 2 Brookside beating the neck. If you go back at this level and distance, early August, and Charlie Atlas closed it out for me, I think we're right with this number 6 in here.
They're all one-fers, of course, but boy, oh boy, you do have some lean lifetime records in the second, including the horse we picked in the 6, D Shiflet, who is just that 1 for 23. And that first win happened to come first time out at Del Mar well over 2 years ago when that horse won for an $80,000 maiden claiming price. Diamond Mint again, I'm hoping will cap a 6-1 exacta to start the action on the main track. We basically just volley back and forth all day, dirt, turf, and we're back on the green here. And I thought this race, Ronnie, would kind of, in a way, set the tone for the majority of the grass races on today's card, where you've got a chunky, bulky-sized field of 11, and you've got no real clear standout favorite. Lo and behold, though, you and I, you steal my picks online?
No, I did not steal your picks online, but we both have the 9 Jacks Diamonds stepping up to the next logical level after dueling. This horse dueled from start to finish and held on to defeat 10 two lifetime claimers, at the distance. It's Kathleen O'Connell, it's Edgar Zayas going for 2 in a row, and I just thought if that performance was the one to beat. Now, I did not use the number 10 horse, so we are a little bit different here in race number 3.
Yeah, give me a little Texas Rustler to cap the exact. I thought this horse, if the fractions and the pace is a little on the fast side, and that's my one sort of potential monkey wrench to the 9 Jack of Diamonds. This horse pretty quick going 5/8. He's not likely the lone speed in this one, as he should have some company, I would think, from the 5 On Your Mark, who is best when he's been able to run and gun in turf sprints, and the number 6, Monkey Money. I thought the 10, at least as far as the minor awards go, number 10, Texas Rustler, would get a fast pace to close into. And one of those speeds, the 6, Monkey Money, we've got a little stat here from Monty Thomas.
We got a little stat, Monty Thomas. It's actually a jockey trainer stat. It goes between Monty Thomas and Lionel Reyes. It is stat at Gulfstream Park. They're 5 for 14, 36%, $7.97 return of investment. So they had a couple of long shots in there. And Monkey Money was, a 10-length winner facing condition claimers at this over at Gulfstream Park West. It was a while back. So I just thought that maybe this horse comes back and runs. Don't know what he is on the morning line in here. He's actually second. Oh, he's the favorite, actually.
Favorite at 7-2.
7-2. Did not know that, Monkey Money. But I'm going with Jack of Diamonds on top.
I guess our line maker, Jay Stone, line maker extraordinaire, said, you know what? When Lionel Reyes rides for Monty Thomas, they're live together. We'll see how they do, as you and I, of course, Ronnie, in the camp of Kathleen O'Connell and Edgar Zeiss, not trying to reinvent the wheel. Horse who's in good form and brings that solid recent turf sprint form to race number 3. We move on to race number 4 this afternoon. It's back on the main track, 6250 claimers. These are 3-and-up fillies and mares, and they meet going 3/4 of a mile. And speaking of Jay Stone's morning line, I see he's got a couple of horses in the 3 Melody Pomeroy and the number 5 Some Roar in sub 2-to-1 territory. You've got Melody Pomeroy at 9-5 and Some Roar, who drilled a field back on July 22nd. This is 2 back for Some Roar. She is 8-5 on the line, and if she runs back to this race, they're all running for second. The question to me is, will she duplicate it?
Well, she duplicated. I just thought because of the small size of the field 6, I think she has a very big shot. And if you remember my early pick 5 ticket, this is where I went and singled.
Yep.
And this one, as you mentioned, an open length winner at this level back in July, drops, disputed the pace. But look who this horse finished 3rd behind. You see the horse just drawn off. Last time finished 3rd behind Winning Machine, Pink Mama. So just anybody who's going to run with Pink Mama and getting in a small field here, I think this horse is totally the one to beat.
Now, that race did come with some moisture in the track, and clearly, even though she hasn't had all that many races per se on wet tracks, I would say Some Roar does like it, or is not hindered, maybe even moves up a bit when the track's got some moisture in it. She's not getting that today. And that race, that big blowout win, I just want to see it again at a very short price. Now, this was a race in prepping for the show today and going back through my picks. I went, why did I take the 4 Dancing Win? Now, she's going to need, I think, a lot to be candid about it. She's going to need Melody Pomeroy, who's taking a big drop, not to show up, and she's going to need Some Roar just not to run back to that effort 2 back. If that happens and she shows up with an okay effort, Dancing Win's got a chance here at maybe a distant 3rd choice. I will, put the icing on the cake saying that trainer Antonio Sano, and that's not to say talented horsemen have not had this mare in recent months. You've got Gilberto Zerpa, Rashawn Creaky, but Sano is very good off the claim. He's got some solid numbers.
And I think that's the keen horse. I have it on my ticket for all the reasons you mentioned.
Was it the claim with
it was the claim,
Antonio?
basically, with that. So that was why I did it. And the new connections, they got MSC El Jaramillo, and everybody knows how well he's been riding. So I just thought all of that, certainly on the ticket. But me, I'm hanging my hat with the number 5 Some Roar single on my ticket. But if you have some concerns like Jason does, maybe you go a couple deeper in here if you're putting that early pick 5 ticket together.
Yeah, for me, just can't put all my eggs in the basket, the 1 basket, or even 1.5 basket if you include the 3 Melody Pomeroy. Well, keep in mind, although this 6-year-old mare is taking a noticeable and sizable drop, she's just 2 for her last 22 over the last couple of seasons. She just doesn't win all that often. We'll move on to race number 5 this afternoon, the 5th race. This is a good one. You've really got some quality sprinkled throughout this 13-race card at Gulfstream Park, and the 5th is no exception in that department. This is a solid field of 3-and-up filly and mares, and this other than $25,000 optional claimer. Another good-sized field as well on the turf, and a number of different sort of subset rematches going on here between Tayuna and Sistine Sister. That's the first one, and that's the race we're going to show you back from July 27. It's a very gritty effort from Tayuna, who just broke like a shot. Boy, she sped clear, and by the time they hit the first turn, she was shut off and just cruising on the lead. And for Sistine Sister, it was another good effort, but another effort in which she was second best, Ronnie, with dead aim at a very short price.
Well, you're showing Tayuna here just went to the front and was very game winning that race, but it's sort of like you just said with like Some Roar. Is there another one like that in the tank? So I thought of all the races today, the 13 races on the card, I thought this was one of the most competitive races.
Oh, it's a good one.
And
yep.
I went to the inside with the 1 Cajun Queen who's going to break from that inside post. After a solid outing at the distance, I thought in which she was hounded every step of the way in that race and held on to finish second. She was beaten 3/4 of the length. Herman Walensky, excuse me, Edgar Zayas, named to ride this afternoon. And I just thought of that performance. But boy, if you remember my pick 5 ticket, I went 4 deep in here, and I wish I could have gone 60.
Yeah, it's a race you might want to use even half the field if you had the budget for it, depending upon A, what your budget is, and B, who you're using in the legs surrounding race 5, the cash out to the early pick 5. And yeah, I think you said it all with Cajun Queen. She's just a logical major player with solid connections from an inside post. And you and I both respect. We're saying that the 2 sweet stories coming out of that same race as Cajun Queen and will be a bigger price, even though she was second in that spot and finished in front of Cajun Queen. We're both saying for Kathy Roundtree that last race is not a one-hit wonder type effort.
Well, Sweet Story turned out to be a really good story last time out, where she stepped up to competition. She circled the field that afternoon and finished second, as you mentioned, in front of Cajun Queen when beaten only a nose last time out. I thought that was a top-notch performance. And here's one of those things: if you lead this horse off the ticket, do it at your risk.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, Sistine Sister, by the way, let's just give her a little bit of attention here, as she is just 1 for 16 with 7 seconds and a trio of thirds. She has lost her last couple at 4 to 5, 80 cents and 90 cents. She will. And Angel Rodriguez has been a very tough guy to claim off of successfully. I think from Angel, you get a horse who clearly has been very well cared for in the physical department, but horses tend to not step up in their immediate starts when claimed out of that barn. Now, that being said, it seemed like Peter Walder really, before that 12-day break in the action, his horses seemed to really turn a corner as far as how they were performing.
You know, and Sistine Sister, you know, I backed off a little bit because of the post position and everything like that. But today, just before we came on the air, I just gave this race another glance.
Yeah.
And I said, boy, you know, maybe this 10-horse Sistine Sister should be further up the ticket. With that said, Peter Walder, an excellent trainer, as you mentioned. Turf, not his strong suit, but this horse certainly another horse that you'd be crazy not to put it somewhere on your ticket if you have the budget to do it.
All right, fair enough. And keep in mind, we do have a number. In fact, 3 pick 4s on the program today, and our middle one begins in race number 6. And of course, Misael Jaramillo has a busy day, along with the likes of Edgar Zayas and Luca Panici, a few of the more marquee names, and Miguel Vasquez here in the colony. In fact, they see some action in this upcoming 6th race as we continue to peck away and get closer to that Saturday Rainbow 6. We'll bring on a group of 2-year-old filly, $16,000 maiden claimers in the 6th, a 6-furlong sprint on the main track. We're down to a field of 8 after losing the inside runner, the number 1, Luz Estrella, as an early scratch. And for Ronnie and I, it's basically the 4-5-5-4 exacta box. You like the 4 10-carat diamond on top. And judging, at least even going deeper than aesthetically speaking in regards to her last race, she just off the 40 fig in that 3rd for Ralph Nix. She's just the one they've got to get around.
Well, you also mentioned that the middle pick 4 starts with this race. It's great that it does, because you're going to have a chance to watch the board and see what's going on. And I think that's very important in this race. I did go with the 4 10-carat diamond. I thought it was the obvious choice of all the previous starters in the race that made that 5-wide bid as the favorite. Finished 3rd at this level and distance. I wish there was more speed I could look at to help this horse out. But off that performance, looks like the one to beat.
Now, next to her, the 5, Queen Fantabulous. She's got the benefit of being a second-time starter today. And I just felt at, obviously, what'll be a higher win price than what 10-carat diamond goes off of. I'll just take a shot saying that this Stay Thirsty second-time starter, who got bet a little bit, I'd say 7-1 for Gustavo Amayo first time out in a 7-horse field, was a fairly live price and wasn't all that far behind 10-carat diamond, who again, I think Queen Fantabulous has got the benefit of being a second-time starter, where 10-carat diamond has already given you that big improvement second out.
And your blinkers on this afternoon for number 5, Queen Fantabulous, so maybe it's as simple as blinkers doing the trick and the reversing that the previous outcome, and that closed it out. So to do with the Flashing Diamond, Daughter of Kofu by Malibu Moon, debuting for Sano. What I liked about this horse, consistent work tab over at Gulfstream Park West, with really legs up horses nicely for their debut. But you're dealing with 16 maidens here, so we'll see how this works out. But another race where if you're betting the middle pick 4, watch the board, maybe you go a little deeper. I think it's very wide open.
Yeah, maybe that horse is a sneaky live runner who will take some money at least early on in the betting. We'll certainly keep everybody up to speed throughout the 6th race, Prado, when we're on the air with you, kicking off that middle pick 4 on this Baker's Dozen Saturday here at Gulfstream Park. And the weather's perfect. The humidity is broken. Really is a nice day here. And it's just so good to be back in action at GP as we turn the page and move on to race number 7. And it's another turf sprint on the program here, but a rich one. This one a Florida bred, a other than allowance optional claimer. And you've got, man, some familiar faces in the mix and some horses who have done some pretty good things and have danced a lot of dances throughout their career. I'm going to try to shake things up with the one All About Yassam, who is 0 for 6 on the year, but the more I looked around at who this horse had been facing on a consistent basis for Joe Orsino, the likes of Peony Price and Starship Wildcat, I think his overall ability per se stacks up really nice here with these 16K claimers, and he's just not a dirt horse. Last race, a good tightener off the layoff. Today, however, I think is the end game, and he'll be an okay price.
Yeah, I originally had this one 4th on my ticket and started going around. Did that not have him on top? And you make great points with this horse, the connections. I mean, the ability this horse was facing, the horses with the ability that this
running against monsters,
yeah,
over the championship meet.
Well, both you and I used the number 8 in here, Shoshone Brave, who's back on the turf after returning from a 370-day layoff to finish 2nd, and that was a 25 optional claimer at the distance. That race was moved from the lawn to the sloppy main track. Mickey Kroger, Edgar Zayas. I was really impressed for the horse to run that well. Now, people who subscribe to the bounce theory may have concerns that this horse might, bounce like a Spalding in its 2nd race back, but I thought Shoshone Brave was the right one, and I'm see you have it on your ticket.
And turf, much like my thinking in making the 2nd start off the layoff with All About Yassam and thinking today was sort of the master plan, I would argue Shoshone Brave has been turf meant all along, and this is probably where Mickey Kroger wanted to wind up, and that horse is just a major player. And you really, as we go through, Ronnie, race by race and talk about each particular event at Gulfstream today, you get a sense that Edgar Zayas could be sitting on a very, very big afternoon, as could Miguel Vasquez, who's right next to Shoshone Brave with the 9, Foreman the Foreman, whose turf race here in late July going 5 was a big effort.
Big effort in here, and then just by looking at our selections, you can just see how wide open this race is in here with the 9. We both have in 4th, and I wouldn't be surprised if the 9 comes off that performance and wins in here. Also through the 3 horse in here, Mormia, 7 for 9 in the money on the Gulfstream turf. 11 starts, 2 wins, 5 seconds, 2/3. Old horse for course angle. Through that one, his current speed figures indicate you can certainly defeat this level of competition.
And a rare claim, it seems, recently for trainer Marty Wolfson, who might be in sort of a rebuilding process. Just doesn't seem like maybe he's got the numbers that he once had, say, a few years ago, but a very good trainer as well. We'll see what he can do here off the claim with the number 3, Mormia, in a wide-open 7th race. We've run 7. We still have 6 more. Don't go anywhere. You need your abacus?
Yeah, I got to figure it out. I got 6 fingers. I got no problem.
All right, good. Rainbow 6, Ronnie's ticket, and a whole lot more when we come back here on Gulfstream Today.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve. Give bettors the information they need to win and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet. We are racing.
Sun is out. There is a beautiful breeze coming in off the Atlantic Ocean, and we're ready to roll here with a start time of about 12:15. What are we, Ronnie? About 40 minutes out, give or take, from today's first race. Our first day back at Gulfstream Park following Hurricane Ronnie. I mean Irma.
Hurricane Ronnie. Well, there might be a hurricane after I show you my Rainbow Six selections.
You're taking it down today. I got a good feeling.
Well, all I can say is that we have some of the best handicappers in the country. They hit this Rainbow Six on a ready basis. A couple of times
Crazy.
I'm going, how could you have this horse in the last race and sure someone, as you mentioned, won for over $100,000? You see my ticket, $38.40, and wanted to find that single today, but couldn't. But I think I have the logical two in here with Flying Girl and the Blonde in this race. And then you see the rest of the progression as it goes down. And I like a horse in the last race, and that is the number 11 horse. When we get to the race, I'll talk to you a little bit about it. That horse is 12-1 on the morning line. Been keeping company with some good horses. If there's a concern, it's the outside post. $38.40 for me. Good luck with your ticket.
All right, nice. And we do have, by the way, 2 stakes on the card, and they are very much, I'd say, the pair of centerpieces in this Saturday Rainbow Six. And in regards to that, the late pick 5 also, and I'll give out my ticket momentarily. Looked at the 8th, and by the way, we've got 2 lifetime 6250 claimers. These are fillies and mares on the main track. And our first race today, out of the chute at 1 mile on the dirt. I just want, in a race I looked around, just give me Victor Barboza Jr. with the 2 Flying Girl, even though she is not a dirt horse per se.
Well, Flying Girl is dropping to this level on the main track, making her first start on a fast main track ever. I think, after facing better on the turf this year with a modicum of success. 10 starts, no wins, a second and a couple of thirds. I want to show you a stat on Victor Barboza Jr. Horses going turf to dirt, all claiming levels right here at Gulfstream Park. And, you know, Victor Barboza Jr., you knew it was going to be a good stat. He's 4 for 13, 31%, 54% the money. And I'm liking that there's a positive return of investment of $2.64. So just off that, as I mentioned when I was showing you my ticket, I think Flying Girl is the one to beat in this race, but I saved it. You have the 9. We got our trifecta just flipped-flop around, the other one being the Blonde.
Yeah, who also has Victor Barboza Jr. in her corner. And looking at that turf to dirt in claiming races stat, the Blonde played her part in that stat as a winner last time out when she just coasted clear and finally got the money in that 13th career start. Beat very little. She was even money. But that being said, they've got her realistically spotted. First time against winners. And then you've got the 9, Baby Antonella, on the outside, who can stay the distance. She seems like kind of a tried and true grinder who, if some of the others get a little leg weary going 8 furlongs, she could stay the trip.
1 for 29. That's why I backed off that one.
Yeah, I hear you. The lifetime record, though, no doubt, Ronnie, a concern. Now, race number 9 is the launching pad as we move a race deeper into this Saturday, September 16th card at GP. It's a 7.5 furlong, 2 lifetime, 10 claimer, and it's the launching pad for the opening leg of the late pick 5. I, like you, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the 5, Yo No Say. I think there's going to be a supersonic wicked pace in this one, and I think Yo No Say can put that late run in and just roll by everybody with my man Edgar Zayas. Little light in race number 10, and I believe the 12 Planet Rock came out, so I'm going to have 2 singles actually. Could whack that total down to $12, and I'm going to have 2 singles, 5 and 5, to start the sequence, but that is a very shaky race. Go 4 deep in race number 11, and that's the first stake on the card. I like the field very much. Dave Fawkes got a pair of first-time turfers who are pretty good on the dirt. We'll see how they do against Victor Barboza's turf pair. And then I'm just calling a simple class edge with Money or Love and Mama Joyce in our 12th race today. And wrapping it up, I like the inside posted horses who are going to take the bulk of the play in the nightcap. If we get up to race 13, save your 11 horse. That's going to be an okay price, Ronnie. I feel pretty comfortable with the 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, now you guys mentioned you can go back and take out that 12 on your ticket, and it's $12 ticket, so very affordable. And talking about the Yo No See, who you think is going to sit the trip, and I agree with you. I want to show you a stat on Efren Loza Jr. with a layoff of 61 to 180 days right on the turf, all claiming levels. He's 4 for 16, 25%. 56% in the money, and only the return of investment $1.76. Efren Loza Jr. did not start a lot of horses here during the spring and summer, but last year he did. He's an excellent trainer, and all his horses seem to run well. So I'm in agreement with you. You got him as your single, and I find no fault in that.
Yeah, I feel, and good, I'm glad you don't find a fault in it. I just had to pull the trigger somewhere,
Right.
and if we're right, top connections, fast pace. Hopefully Yono Say pulls an okay trip and just cuts everybody down in race number 9. Well, let's continue on, Ronnie, with race number 10 on the afternoon. We've got 3 and up, Filly Mare, $10,000 maiden claimers. This is a race, even with the scratch of the 12 Planet Rock. I'm very, very light, and I admit that. And I was a little surprised. I asked you back in the office about an hour ago. I said, hey, Ronnie, who'd you take in the 10th? Because I struggle with this race. I did not have a clue here. And ultimately, and lo and behold, Ola Yola for you and me off a good second, relatively speaking, last time out.
Yeah, stretching out to 7/8 of a mile break from demanding out post last time. 11 made a solid minute move in that race and settled for second, going 6.5. And I just thought off that performance from that post, Ola Yola was the one to beat today. Now, Planet Rock, the horse that ended up scratching, so don't want to spend much time on it, but I was afraid of that horse a lot.
That horse was a major, major, major player with the post and her early speed.
Yeah, and that's what I was afraid of in there, and I was like tussled. So the point I'm trying to make is I like the 5 better now.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're a little more bullish on this race than I am, because I'll tell you, I picked my way through. I was trying to get cute with some of the bigger priced horses, but ultimately couldn't make any of them. And we'll take the 5 Olayola, who might just go favored over the number 3 Grace B, who I didn't really particularly care for. Neither did you, as she caps our supers. Moving on to race number 11, we really go up, I'd say, in terms of quality here for the 11th and 12th, and that's certainly good news, and a couple of fun races to go over as we head back to the turf at 7.5 furlongs with the Florida-bred 3-year-old filly, Miss Gracie. Do you remember Miss Gracie? Is she Florida-bred that before my time, maybe?
I don't remember. I sort of vaguely remember that this is named after someone's daughter or
okay.
or granddaughter or something like that, but I could be wrong.
Might be a person.
Might be a person. Put it that way.
Right.
I'm not positive about that.
Now, we are positive. David Fox, outstanding trainer. Victor Barboza, very good trainer in his own right. And I'm curious to see what Victor can do here with the 5 Grand Cherry. We'll show you her last race about a month and a half ago, give or take, on August 6th. Pulled a decent trip, was under a very long drive, by the way, beneath a Misael Jaramillo, who had her basically, again, under the whip and in a full-out drive, I'd say from almost the half-mile pull home. She could not have been any gamer. This was not a race, Ronnie, in which the pace completely incinerated, and she was the last horse standing. I was really, really impressed how gamely she turned back the outside runner who ran big in the number 5 Pat M's Image.
And she's got that win on the turf course, but I just switched around, went with the 9. Katinka back locally against state-bred competition this afternoon after a bit of an eventful trip up at Arlington, and that was in the 9 furlong grade 3 pucker up race in which she hit the gate at the start, rushed up to the tender pace, and went back. They're going to take the blinkers off this afternoon. I think this one classes up nicely. You mentioned David Forks, and he's got both Sweet Tooth Haven and Surprise Wedding, and they're both debuting on the turf for the first time. Something that he doesn't do that often. I was really surprised at this, so I want to show you a stat real quickly. First time on the turf, 3-year-old fillies right here at Gulfstream Park, only 4 for 32, 13%, 31% in the money, but does have a positive return of investment, $3.98. I was surprised that he did it 32 times before. Doesn't seem that well.
Yeah, with 3-year-olds.
Yeah, with 3-year-old fillies, yeah.
3-year-old
I
fillies.
dialed it down. So that is what I was afraid of with there. If Surprise Wedding can handle the turf, I think it could win.
She's very good, as is Sweet Tooth Haven. Little rundown quickly here with Sweet Tooth Haven, and we'll dig a little into her pedigree, being by Vineyard Haven, who just hasn't sired many horses. To say that he's horrible or terrible on the turf might be unfair, because he's only had 8 turf starters over the last 5 years, and he's 0 for 8 in that category. Dam did win a couple of times on the turf, and the only sibling to try the grass has won over it, so some good news there. Here's Surprise Wedding, who's very good, and we'll learn a bit more about where she stands off an 89 fig and a daylight allowance win. The Dam was unraced. 2 sibs have tried the turf. There's an older half-brother, 4 for 17 on the grass, and all those wins came in 2-turn routes. You'll get that today with Surprise Wedding. Let's move on to race number 12, a $50,000 starter stakes 1 mile on the main track, 3 and up fillies and mares, and a lot of people, including Ronnie and I, feel this is a two-horse affair between
Exactly,
Mama Joyce and Money Your Love. And in the case of Mama Joyce, let's show you her last start here on August the 11th. Very determined score, and maybe a racehorse that is, who's just heading and trending upward, second off the claim now for Ralph Nix off a determined win at a mile.
And, you know, she added credence to the horse for course theory. She returned locally. She defeated those $62,500 claims. She's always run well on this course. 3 starts, 2 wins, and a third. Ralph Nix, Edgar Zayas, inside post this afternoon, if that's a little bit of a concern. Mama Joyce and Money Your Love, to me, were the 2 to beat.
I'll tell you, though, Money Your Love has been one of the neatest stories this summer, spring-summer at Gulfstream since I got down here. I mean, she has 2 stakes wins to her credit over the last 3 months, one at 38 to 1, another at 20 to 1, and that race at 20 to 1, she paid about $45 to win, give or take. That's the added elegance. We will show you it quickly from July 29th. And if you thought, well, the first time, all right, that was a fluky win. Second time, the race we're looking at, that's a fluky win too. I think she showed she's just legitimately classy, talented, and solid with her last start, that neck loss to Sweet Khaleesi.
Sweet Khaleesi, and if you look, she's stretching out to a mile. She's won at this distance, a pair of strong turf sprints, so she can handle the distance. And you mentioned, you know, she's got a touch of class, so I mean, she might be the right one. That's why I could not leave her off the ticket at all.
She's a must-use. She has won, as you were saying, Ronnie, in the past, going a mile. Mama Joyce might be a little more comfortable at the 8 furlong distance. That might be check mark in her corner, but it looks like a good matchup between 2 solid mares in today's 12th. And we wrap it up, race number 13. It all comes to a close with this $10,000 3 and up, 7.5 furlong claiming race, in which I very much prefer the 3 inside post runners, including Fair Prospect, who had a tough trip last time. And as you talk, we can put up the video of the number 2 Rock Eagle. It's one of 2 from the inside for Antonio Sana.
Yeah, I thought these are the logical 3. You saw my selections, telling Tony, turning back to 7.5. First start after that claim by Sano. Dead heat for the victory against Simla, going 9 furlongs. Fair Prospect, Rock Eagle. Just touch on very briefly the number 11. Just like the lines.
Yeah, give it to us.
You know, facing, you look 2 starts back, facing Gaultier, who's a very good horse. Bird Human, just look down. Love Conquers a little later on. Drop into the $10,000 level this afternoon. Got an outside post, but you got Luca Panici. This one, if you can get 12 to 1, I think you put it on your ticket.
I think you brought up some good points. Getting Luca P as well. We're going to say an upgrade in the riding department and an upgrade in the quote-unquote talent department is the voice of Gulfstream Park, the big man, Pete Aiello. We missed hearing his soothing sounds. He's standing by, and he's got Saturday's scratches and changes coming your way shortly.